Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about CPR. So we're going to cover CPR and some of the things, common things that you have to do whenever you're doing it. All right, but first though, what is CPR, right? So CPR stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. All right, that's what the term CPR stands for, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So when you see these words, right? So cardio, pulmonary, and resuscitation, you can already like tell what is the purpose of CPR. Because over here, cardio means it refers to the heart or your cardiac activity, and pulmonary refers to your breathing or your lungs. And then resuscitation means that you're trying to revive someone, bringing them back to life. So that's what CPR stands for. So whenever you're CPR qualified or you have to rescue somebody, you have to like do it fast because the longer you wait to do CPR, it's gonna have the person less chances of survival because again, like the more you deprive the brain of oxygen, like it's gonna create more damage because once the neurons inside the brain dies, it's not gonna go revive itself or recover. That's why like CPR is very crucial. So over here, how to perform CPR, right? So first thing would be make sure scene is safe. All right, so make sure scene is safe. So you're not gonna go into an area that you can also be injured, and instead of you helping someone, then it's gonna be you and that person who's gonna be a casualty, right? So that's the first thing is make sure scene is safe. So once you know that the scene is safe, then check for consciousness. So don't. I mean, the main thing when you see somebody drop down on the floor, right? You're gonna check them. Hey, tap them. Hey, are you okay? So that would be the thing. You have to make sure that they're actually not breathing or no pulse. Because again, some people might just be drunk and they kind of fall down, right? So you have to check for consciousness. So you have to tap them like strong enough that they can actually respond to it. Or worst case scenario, you can do sternal rub to actually uh, elicit some response to other people, especially if they're in actual like in coma or like not really like breathing or they don't have pulse. So all right, so that if they're unconscious, they're not responding to your you know tactile stimulation, then now it's gonna be you have to call for help. So if there's more people around you, like example, like the person is down and there's like bystander like all over, the person, then you have to instruct that person like, hey, point to the person like, hey, call for help, call 911. You have to point them because if you don't point at somebody, nobody's gonna be doing it. There's someone's not gonna feel obligated to perform something unless you actually point to them that hey, and then also like make sure that they respond to you, they acknowledge that they're gonna do it, say hey, I'm gonna call 911. So that would it also. So if you had somebody, there's two more people, right, you can also like call, tell the other person like hey, grab an AED. So again, you're just trying to like make it work because you don't want like the same person to be the one calling 911 and AED because it's gonna kill more time. So one person should be calling 911 and the other one's grabbing the AED because like every public space, most of the major ones has a AED like this. So this is not what it looks like, but that would be like like the concept of or icon of AED. But we're gonna cover that one later on. So again, call for help. All right. So again, whenever you're waiting for the other person, right? So if the person is not conscious, responding, no pulse, you check for pulse first, um, and breathing, right? So I'm gonna write down check for pulse and breathing. So if somebody's passed out, right, so you have to check the pulse. So the common ones that you have, like the pulse location, there's different pulse in the body, right? So you have the radial over here on your wrist, but if somebody's passed out, the appropriate one that you can actually do is the radial pulse over on the neck, because it's closer to the heart, right? So if the circulation is deprived inside the body, so this one at least you can feel something over here. So feel over here if you can feel the pulse. I felt mine. So again, if somebody's passed out, it might be weak, but and hopefully you can locate that one. If not, again, that's the time you actually going to intervene. And breathing, the way you can actually know they're breathing is like chest rise, right? You can watch the chest. Yeah, so that would be like signs of breathing, right? But if they're grunting, they're agonizing breath. It means that they're not really like they don't have proper airway. So it's also something that you can do CPR too. So if they don't have pulse and breathing, then you intervene because that's the time you can do CPR. So CPR, you're gonna start compressions on that person, right? So the ratio of compressions to breaths, you're gonna deliver compressions to breaths. So 30 compressions to 2 breaths. So that would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So you have to count loud because it's important, especially in like if there's other people around you, so that whenever someone's trying to relieve you because you're tired, they know where you stop. Because you want the compressions and the breathing to be continuous, right? You don't want to break the sequence of the compression. So whenever you're doing compressions, right? I don't have a dummy with me, so whenever you're doing compression, right, you make sure you're on top of the person's chest, right? So the landmark, example is like the person's chest, right? So this one's the chest. So you find the nipple line over here, and over here you place the heel of your hand over here on the sternum area of that person, so that, and then lock your elbows over here, and then you actually have to go on top over here, so that you can actually put like proper force to go down. Because again, you have to go down 2 inches, at least 2.5 inches, right? So that's the target of the depth of the compression. So because if you're doing this, you're too far from you're not over the chest of the person, you're not like over here, you're gonna get tired and you're not gonna deliver proper compression, so it's not gonna be effective. So over here, also, whenever you're doing it, I've never actually tried doing it in a situation, but I heard some people who actually did it, that they can hear like the ribs breaking. But again, you can fix rib, but don't be scared that you're gonna break ribs, because like that can be fixed, but if you don't do proper compressions, then and the person dies, it's gonna be a worse scenario, right? So that, and then also whenever you're doing decompression, right, you have to like proper rhythm. So again, the common things like some people or some of you would heard already, like staying alive, like the rhythm when you're singing the song "Staying Alive," that would be the perfect rhythm for because it's 100 to 120 beats per minute, 100 to 110. I'll double check that one. So that's the proper beats of doing compression. And also other people use Baby Shark on that one. And then after 30 compressions, right, so usually you're gonna have to deliver 2 breaths. So some people doesn't want to do like actual mouth to mouth. They have the bag that they can put over the person's lips, right, and then they do deliver breath. whenever you're delivering a breath, right, you have to tilt the head. So the maneuver is called head tilt, chin lift. So you're gonna tilt the head, lift the chin of the person, and then blow over the person's mouth. And whenever you're blowing on the mouth, right, you have to pinch the nose because you don't want to be blowing inside the mouth and then the air comes out from the nose. So you have to pinch the nose and then deliver the breath. That would be the proper way to deliver rescue breaths. Uh, yeah. So usually that would be the sequence, right? So usually whenever you have another person doing relieving you, right? So the minimum recommended time that you're doing compressions and breaths would be like around 2 minutes, because that would be like the time that you're actually tired. So once the 2 minute comes, then somebody can relieve you, like, and then continue on the compression. So that again, you guys are trying to avoid a break in the compression cycle. And when you have the AED, so example earlier I mentioned that you're asking somebody to deliver AED. So this one, AED stands for automated external defibrillator. So that's what AED stands for. Again, you can find this one in major areas, public areas. So this one, again, it corrects heart rhythm. So if there's a heart rhythm on the person, it's gonna read that one, and then it's gonna deliver a shock to actually reset the heart back, and then so that it can resume normal sinus rhythm. So whenever somebody's attaching this one, right? So inside a actual AED, there's gonna be pads that you can attach to the person, right? So again, we're not gonna talk about pediatrics in this one or children, but we're just gonna cover adults. So the pads that you're gonna use for the AED, you're gonna place one pad over here, and then one pad on the bottom part of the person, right? So it needs to be diagonal so that the current would be able to read the other pads would be, or the AD would be the current that goes through the heart, and I'll make sure it works properly. And then if it needs to deliver a shock, it can actually fix the problem. So over here, once you have the AED, right? So the main thing that you have to do is press power over here. So press power on, because once it's powered on, right, it just basically tells you what to do. So the AED will tell you place pads. So again, if you're not sure where to place the pads itself has like tells you where, it has a picture on it. It tells you where to put it. So over here and over here. Again, if somebody has a piercing somewhere over here, nipple piercing, right? So, or any metal devices, whatever, don't put it over those piercings, whatever. Just put it somewhere else on the side. If somebody has like a lot of chest hair or stuff like that, you have to shave it. If you don't have a shave, you can use a tape to take it off. And also sometimes the AED also has an extra one that you can actually use to remove the hair, because you want the pads to actually stick on the person, right? Because you want to the AED to read the heart rhythm. All right, so once you place the pads, the AED would give prompt like analyzing, so it's gonna read the person's rhythm, right? And then in that case, and would tell you shock advice. So if the AD would say shock advice, right, it's important just to like remind other people, like, stay clear. So make sure that nobody's touching the patient, because again, you don't want other people to get shocked. And also, like, during analyzing, you don't want other people to touch the person, anything, like anybody, because like it's gonna mess up the reading, the reading of the heart rhythm of the AED. So yeah, but again, you can use AED in conjunction with doing CPR. So it doesn't mean that if you have the AED, you're not gonna do compression, right? Because like you can still have somebody doing compressions over here while other another person is attaching the pads, and then the only time that you don't do compression if the AD is saying that, shock advice. That's the time that you clear, and after that, the AD would give you a prompt again if that was ineffective. The resume compressions and then go back again to compression and keep doing that until the EMTs or the advanced medical team support arrives on scene. So that's the only thing. So yeah, so the things that you have to do when to stop compressions, right? So you stop compressions when the person revives, right? You're not gonna be like still doing CPR or compression on somebody who's actually revive ready. um, Also, stop compressions if the scene becomes unsafe. So if the fire is coming into the space already, you don't just like actually keep doing compression. Right, you have to like go away. If you can carry the person, then carry the person away too. So also, if you're tired, because sometimes like you can only do so much. Um, Because if you keep pushing it, if you're still doing compression, right, and it's ineffective, it's not gonna do anything to the person anyways, But yeah, so that is it, guys. That's the basic concept of how to do CPR. Hopefully, you learned something from this one, even though I don't have a dummy or actual AD to show in this video. But all right, take care. Thanks for watching the video.